The video poker machine's bells are still echoing through Silver Creek Casino when Martha Delaney notices the man in the gray suit sitting down at their chair. She's standing at the payout window with Frank, her husband of 52 years, watching a cashier count out $47,380 in carefully bundled bills. The royal flush that just changed their lives happened at Machine 14, Row K. Their Tuesday ritual for 8 months, ever since Frank's Parkinson's made his contractor's hands too unsteady for the woodworking he loved. Around them, other gamblers crane their necks, snapping photos of the flashing jackpot display. Their congratulations creating a bubble of noise that feels both celebratory and overwhelming. But Martha can't stop looking at the stranger who's claimed their still warm seat. He's not playing, just sitting there with a briefcase and cold coffee, staring at the screen like he's searching for something he's already lost. The win should feel like salvation. It landed just 19 days after they buried their daughter Diane, whose sudden death left 2 traumatized grandsons in their cramped ranch house. 2 boys drowning in grief, while their elderly grandparents struggle to stay afloat. The money could change everything, fix everything. Except nothing feels fixed when Frank's hands shake so badly he can't sign the payout form. When Martha knows they're driving home to chaos, neither of them knows how to manage. When the weight of Diane's absence makes even this windfall feel like borrowed joy. The following Tuesday, the man in the gray suit is there again. Same chair, same coffee, same quiet sadness that mirrors their own. And the Tuesday after that. Have you ever met a stranger at exactly the moment you needed someone to understand what words can't explain? Stay with us to discover how one unlikely conversation at a casino video poker machine became the foundation for an unconventional family, and how a widowed attorney's meticulous documentation would become the only thing standing between 2 grief-stricken boys and the biological father who abandoned them, but who suddenly wants custody the moment he hears about a jackpot. The bells start ringing at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that tastes like grief. Martha Delaney watches the video poker screen explode into cascading diamonds, the machine's sirens loud enough to pull attention from every corner of Silver Creek Casino's floor. Beside her, Frank's tremoring hands hover over the console like he's afraid to touch proof that might disappear. Royal flush, $47,380. Frank? Martha whispers. Her voice sounds strange, like it belongs to someone else. Frank, is that... It's real. His words come out thick, 3 syllables. The most he's said since they buried Diane 19 days ago. Casino staff materialize within seconds. Floor managers in pressed vests, a security guard with a radio, a woman with a clipboard whose smile doesn't reach her eyes. They're congratulating her. But Martha can't quite hear over the blood rushing in her ears. The money is real. The machine says so. The growing crowd of strangers with their phones raised says so. But nothing feels real anymore. Not since the hospital called. Not since they cleaned out Diane's apartment and brought home 2 grandsons who cry themselves to sleep in rooms that still smell like storage boxes. Mrs. Delaney, we'll need you at the payout window. The woman with the clipboard guides her through the crowd like she's made of glass. Martha glances back at Frank, who's trying to stand. His contractor's hands that built decks and renovated kitchens for 40 years, gripping the chair for balance. The payout window takes an hour. Forms to sign, identification to verify, tax documentation to review. Frank's signature on the W-2G is barely legible. His tremors so pronounced, the cashier pretends not to notice. Martha counts the bundled bills twice, then a third time, her school secretary training kicking in, even as her mind catalogs what this means. 3 months of Diane's apartment lease they couldn't break. The funeral home balance, Tyler's therapy copays, Mason's nightlight that makes him feel safe enough to sleep. The jackpot that should feel like salvation just feels like weight. Through the window behind the cashier, she can see their machine. Row K, machine 14, where they've spent every Tuesday for 8 months. Frank's neurologist suggested routine after the Parkinson's diagnosis, something to mark time that wasn't doctor's appointments and medication schedules. $40 every Tuesday. They'd leave when it was gone. A man in a gray suit sits there now, at their machine. Not playing, just sitting with a briefcase and what looks like cold coffee, staring at the dark screen the way someone stares at a photograph of a person they've lost. Martha signs the final form, takes the check, follows Frank through the casino floor toward the parking lot, past slot machines and poker tables and the life they had 20 days ago. In the car, Frank buckles his seatbelt twice before his shaking fingers catch the clasp. Martha starts the engine but doesn't shift into reverse. Can't. Not yet. Diane would have been so excited, Frank says. His voice cracks on their daughter's name, and that's when Martha starts crying. Not the careful, silent tears she's rationed since the funeral. These are the kind that steal breath, that make the steering wheel blur into nothing. She pulls her hands away before she can grip too hard, before she can break something else. Frank reaches across the console. His hand finds hers, tremor and all, and holds on. Behind them, in the casino, they're not ready to leave. A man in a gray suit sits at machine 14, still not playing, still staring at the screen like he's waiting for someone who will never come back. The ranch house looks smaller every time Martha pulls into the driveway. It's 5:30 p.m. The November sun sits low and orange behind the neighbor's fence, casting long shadows across the yard where Frank used to garden before his hands forgot how to hold steady. 3 weeks ago, this house held 2 elderly people in the comfortable silence of a long marriage. Now it strains against the chaos of 2 traumatized boys and grandparents who don't know how to parent anymore. Mason's backpack sits in the middle of the walkway. Martha steps over it, adding, "Teach Mason not to block the path," to the mental list that's grown too long to remember. Inside, the disorder hits like humidity. Dishes stacked in the sink from breakfast. Was it breakfast? Maybe dinner last night. Homework papers scattered across the kitchen table alongside Frank's pill organizer and a half-eaten bowl of cereal that's gone gray. Tyler's jacket on the floor. Mason's shoes creating a tripping hazard by the door. Video game sounds echo from the living room. Mason, 9 years old and still small for his age, is sprawled on the carpet in rumpled school clothes, eyes fixed on a screen showing cartoon characters she doesn't recognize. He doesn't look up when they enter. "Mason, honey, did you have a snack?" Martha sets her purse down, already moving toward the kitchen, already assessing what she can manage for dinner with the exhaustion pulling at her bones. "Not hungry?" His voice is flat. The bathroom door is closed. Has been closed, Martha realizes, since they got home. She knocks gently. "Tyler?" Silence. Then, "Go away." Frank touches her elbow, shakes his head. Give him time. They've learned this. Tyler needs space before he needs comfort. Needs to break things before he'll accept help putting them back together. Martha opens the freezer. 3 frozen pizzas left. She pulls one out, preheats the oven to 425. Tries not to calculate how many nights this week have ended with something from a box. Diane used to cook. Real meals with vegetables and proteins and care. Martha can cook too, used to cook, but that was when she had energy for more than survival. Frank attempts to slice an apple for Mason. The knife slips twice before he gives up, setting it down with visible frustration. A tremor runs through his whole arm. He turns away before she can offer help, before she can see whatever expression he's hiding. The timer on the oven is broken, so Martha sets her phone alarm for 18 minutes. She checks the boys' school folders. Tyler has detention tomorrow for fighting. Mason wet his pants during math, and the nurse wants Martha to call. The phone bill catches her eye. Diane's cell number still active because Martha can't bring herself to cancel it. Derek's number listed as emergency contact. 0 calls outbound, 0 calls inbound. 2 years of 0. At dinner, Frank drops his pizza slice. Once, twice. The second time, he just stares at his plate, cheese and sauce on his fingers, defeat written in the set of his shoulders. Mason pushes his food around but doesn't eat. Tyler emerges from the bathroom long enough to grab 2 slices and disappear back into Diane's old bedroom. His bedroom now, though they still haven't fully unpacked. Martha finds blood on Tyler's knuckles when she collects his plate later. The wall behind the bathroom door has a new dent the size of a 12-year-old's fist. That night, lying beside Frank in the darkness, Martha does math. The jackpot minus federal taxes, minus state taxes, minus what they owe. Approximately $34,000. Diane's apartment lease through February. Her final hospital bill. The boys' therapy, 2 sessions a week each, insurance covers 60%. School supplies. Clothes because they're growing. Mason's nightlight, Tyler's detention consequences, Frank's medications, her blood pressure pills. Through the wall, she hears it. Mason crying, calling for his mom. The sound a 9-year-old makes when he thinks no one is listening. Martha closes her eyes. Doesn't cry. Can't. Someone has to hold steady. Beside her, Frank's breathing is ragged. Not asleep. Just pretending. The house settles around them. Too small. Too full. Breaking under the weight of what they've lost and what they're trying to save. Martha decides they need Tuesday. Need the ritual. Need something that isn't appointments and arguments and the weight of Mason's nightmares. We should go, she tells Frank Wednesday morning, already planning. The casino, their machine. 2 hours of pretending life has patterns they can predict. Frank nods, doesn't speak. He's been quieter since Diane died, like words cost more than he can afford. Tuesday arrives gray and cold. They leave at 2 o'clock, the house still wearing yesterday's chaos, dishes unwashed. Tyler's backpack abandoned by the door. Linda will pick up the boys from school. 2 hours. Just 2 hours of being Martha and Frank instead of Grandma and Grandpa. Instead of guardians drowning in grief they can't fix. Silver Creek Casino looks the same, smells the same, cigarette smoke and carpet cleaner, and something like desperation disguised as hope. They walk to Row K, Machine 14, the spot that's been theirs for 8 months. Someone's sitting there. The man in the gray suit. The one from last week. Same briefcase, same paper coffee cup going cold, same reading glasses perched on documents Martha can't quite see. He's not playing, not feeding bills or pressing buttons. Just sitting, staring at the dark screen like it holds answers to questions he hasn't asked yet. Martha hovers, irritation rising. Their machine. Their spot. She opens her mouth to say something, something pointed about common courtesy, when Frank steps forward. You playing? The man looks up. Early 40s maybe. Neat but tired in that way that speaks to deeper exhaustion than a bad night's sleep. No. I'm sorry. He starts gathering his things. This sounds strange, but my wife sat here every Thursday. Sarah. Stage 4 lymphoma. She died 6 months and 3 days ago. His voice catches. I'm not ready to stop coming to her spot. The irritation drains out of Martha like water through a broken dam. Frank pulls up the adjacent chair, sits. His hands tremble against his thighs, but his voice is steady. Our daughter, 3 weeks. The man, Gerald, he introduces himself, Gerald Voss, nods. Not the performative sympathy nod people give at funerals. The real one, the one that says, I know that particular country, I live there too. They sit, 20 minutes, maybe longer, not playing, barely talking. Gerald mentions he's an estate attorney, asks gentle questions about nothing important. The weather, the casino's new carpet. Small words that fill space without demanding anything. When Martha and Frank finally stand to leave, Gerald is still sitting there, still not playing, still keeping vigil at a machine that once held someone he loved. In the parking lot, Frank pauses with his hand on the car door. The November wind cuts through his jacket, and Martha sees him shiver. Or maybe it's the tremor. Hard to tell anymore. He gets it, Frank says. Martha doesn't ask what it means. She knows. The way grief makes you sit in casinos on Tuesday afternoons, talking to strangers about nothing because everything hurts too much to say aloud. The way loss creates a language only other bereaved people speak fluently. She starts the engine. They drive home to chaos. But something feels different. Lighter, maybe. Like they're not quite so alone. Linda's car is already gone when Martha pulls into the driveway Tuesday evening. The boys are inside. She can hear Tyler's music through his closed bedroom door, can see Mason's silhouette through the window. Tyler has detention tomorrow. Fighting again. Mason wet his pants during math. The school nurse left a message asking Martha to call. Her voice careful in that way that means she's concerned, but trying not to judge. The jackpot money sits in their account, $34,000 after taxes. It should feel like salvation. Instead, it feels like proof that money can't fix what's actually broken. The week grinds forward. Frank falls in the shower Wednesday, unhurt, thank God, but shaken in a way that makes him quieter. Mason's nightmares come every night now, his small voice calling for Diane through walls too thin to provide real privacy. Tyler steals $20 from Martha's purse on Friday. When she confronts him, he doesn't deny it, just stares at her with Diane's eyes and walks away. Saturday, Frank's neurologist adjusts his medication. The new dosage makes him nauseated. He spends the afternoon on the couch, tremoring hands folded across his stomach, while Martha handles grocery shopping alone. She buys more frozen pizzas, adds them to the cart without counting, without caring. She finds Diane's phone bill Sunday night. Still active because canceling feels too final. Derek's number listed as emergency contact. 0 outgoing calls, 0 incoming. 2 years of silence stretched across a phone plan that costs $38 a month. Martha stares at those zeros until they blur. By Tuesday, she's surviving on 4 hours of sleep and coffee that tastes like desperation. They go to the casino anyway, because what else is there? The house is too small, the silence too loud, the weight of everything they've lost too heavy. Gerald is there. Machine 14, same gray suit, same briefcase, same coffee. This time, Martha doesn't hover. She sits on one side of him. Frank takes the other. Gerald looks up from his documents, smiles slightly. Back again? Routine, Frank says. One word, but it carries weight. They sit, not playing, just existing in the same space. 3 people who understand that sometimes showing up is the only victory you can manage. Gerald sets down his pen. How are the grandchildren? And Martha breaks. 10 minutes of words tumbling out. Tyler's anger, Mason's nightmares, Frank's fall, the frozen pizzas, the exhaustion, the phone bill with its damning zeros. Derek's silence. Her son Marcus so far away in Singapore, Linda trying but drowning in her own life. Everything. Gerald listens, doesn't interrupt, doesn't offer platitudes, just listens with the patience of someone who knows that sometimes you need to speak brokenness aloud before you can begin to fix it. When Martha finally runs out of words, Gerald asks something simple, something devastating. "Who's helping you?" And Martha realizes, no one. No one is helping them at all. The words hang in the recycled casino air between them like a held breath. "I have Tuesday and Thursday afternoons free now," Gerald says, his lawyer's voice careful, measured. "I used to take those off to bring Sarah here. My practice is flexible. Estate work, mostly planning, not litigation." Martha watches his hands fold around the cold coffee cup. Steady hands, competent hands, nothing like Frank's constant tremor. "What if I picked up the boys from school on Tuesdays?" Gerald continues. "Gave you 2 hours for yourselves, or errands. I'm background checked for my practice, bonded. He pauses, and something raw crosses his face. "I need something to do. Someone to help." The slot machines chime their electronic symphony around them. Someone 3 rows over shrieks with joy, life continuing, indifferent to grief. Why? Frank's question is simple, direct. Gerald's laugh is quiet, bitter at the edges. "Because since Sarah died, I eat cereal for dinner and watch TV until I fall asleep. I need a reason to shower in the morning. Your grandsons need someone with energy." He meets Martha's eyes. It's not charity. It's survival, for all of us. Martha's instinct screams warnings, stranger danger, too good to be true. What does he really want? But exhaustion makes a compelling argument against suspicion. 4 hours of sleep last night. Mason's nightmares. Tyler's wall, now cratered with fist-sized dents. Frank falling in the shower, unhurt but shaken, diminished. "I'll think about it," she hears herself say. That night, lying beside Frank, in their bed that's witnessed 52 years of whispered conversations, she waits for his breathing to even out. It doesn't. "You're not asleep either," she says to the darkness. "He's offering us a life raft. He's a stranger. He's a widower who understands." Frank shifts, and she feels the tremor run through the mattress. "We're drowning, Martha. We both know it." She closes her eyes against tears that won't help anyone. Through the wall, Mason cries out in his sleep. Neither of them moves. They learned weeks ago that going to him sometimes makes it worse. The boy needs to cry himself back down into whatever fragile peace he can find. Thursday, they return to the casino more from momentum than hope. Gerald isn't there. But Machine 14 has a folded piece of paper tucked under the coin tray, her name written in precise attorney's handwriting. The offer stands. No pressure. "Here's my state bar number if you want to verify my credentials." Gerald Martha stares at the numbers, proof of legitimacy, evidence of understanding what she needs. Verification. Trust, but earned. Frank reads over her shoulder. "Tuesday," he says. "We try it Tuesday." She nods, folding the paper small enough to fit in her wallet, next to Diane's final school photo. The daughter who needed help Martha couldn't give, and the stranger who might understand exactly why that matters. Martha's finger hovers over Gerald's number for 3 full minutes Monday night before she presses call. His voice is professional, careful. "Mrs. Delaney?" "One Tuesday," she says. No preamble. Ground rules. You pick them up at 3:15, public locations only, library or coffee shop, home by 5:30. No closed doors, no... I understand. There's relief in his voice. Gratitude he's too dignified to express fully. Thank you for trusting me. Trust feels too strong a word. Desperation, maybe. Hope wearing suspicion's clothes. Tuesday arrives heavy with anxiety. Martha drops the boys at school. Tyler sullen about the babysitter. Mason curious about Mr. Gerald from the casino. She and Frank drive to Silver Creek, but can't concentrate. The cards blur. The machines feel hollow. At 4 o'clock, Frank touches her arm. Let's drive past the library. She wants to protest, to prove she trusts the stranger they've entrusted with their grandsons. Instead, she nods. Through the library's wide windows, Gerald at a table with Tyler bent over math homework, pencil moving steadily. Mason sits beside them, coloring with markers Gerald must have brought. Martha didn't send any. The boys look calm, present. Something unclenches in Martha's chest. At 5:25, Gerald's sedan pulls into their driveway. Tyler emerges mid-sentence, explaining something about fractions with actual enthusiasm. Mason wears a sticker proclaiming Math Champion. Gerald meets Martha on the porch, hands her a receipt. We stopped for hot chocolate. My treat, but I wanted you to have documentation. Carefulness of it. Understanding she needs proof, evidence, paper trails to justify this unconventional arrangement, strikes her silent. Frank appears behind her. Come in for coffee? Let's keep boundaries clear for now. Gerald's smile is slight, professional. Same time next week? Mason tugs Martha's sleeve. Is Mr. Gerald coming next Tuesday? She finds herself nodding before deciding to. Yes, honey, he is. That night, Tyler does his homework without being asked. Mason's nightmare comes at 2 a.m. instead of midnight. Progress measured in small mercies. Frank finds her at the kitchen table Wednesday morning, staring at the receipt. Hot chocolate, $8.47. Documentation of kindness, proof of consideration. He understands, Frank says. What does he understand? That we need to protect them. That we need someone we can trust, who understands we're terrified of trusting wrong. Frank's tremoring hand covers hers. He's giving us time to believe him. The receipt goes in Martha's household binder, filed between Tyler's report card and Mason's therapy schedule. Evidence, foundation, the beginning of something that looks like hope but feels too fragile to name. By November, Tuesday has architecture. Gerald arrives at 3:15. Martha checked once, sitting in her car 3 blocks from school, watching him sign the pickup sheet with the precision of someone who knows he's being evaluated. The boys climb into his sedan, Tyler's backpack catching on the door, Mason chattering about his day. Gerald listens with attention Martha recognizes from her school secretary years, the kind that makes children feel heard. He takes them to the library, sometimes the coffee shop on Main. Always public, always documented. At 5:30, he returns them with a written log. Math homework completed. Mason practiced reading aloud. Hot chocolate at daily grind. Receipts attached. The boys transform. Tyler's grades climb from D's to B's. His teacher emails Martha, surprised, asking what changed. Mason's nightmares decrease to twice weekly instead of nightly. They talk about Mr. Gerald the way children talk about favorite teachers, with easy affection unweighted by expectation. Gerald never hugs them, never brings gifts beyond snacks, never closes doors or suggests activities Martha hasn't approved. He treats boundaries like gospel. Understanding his presence requires constant justification. He was an engineer before law school, Tyler mentions Thursday evening, unprompted. He explained why bridges don't fall down. By mid-November, the pattern expands. Thursdays, too. Gerald asks permission first, formal and deferential. Martha and Frank use those 4 weekly hours for doctor appointments, grocery shopping, or simply sitting at the casino without the weight of home pressing down. One Thursday, Mason draws a picture. Stick figures labeled Grandma, Grandpa, Tyler, Mason, and Asa, slightly apart but smiling, Mr. Gerald. The title reads, Our New Friend. Gerald keeps it in his briefcase. Martha sees it there when he shows her Mason's improved spelling test, the drawing tucked carefully beside legal documents and Sarah's photograph. The boys asked about Sarah, Gerald mentions quietly. I told them she was a teacher, that she would have liked them very much. Past tense. Present kindness. Grief making space for something else. But Martha notices Mrs. Chen next door watching Gerald's Tuesday arrivals, face pinched with concern. At the grocery store, Linda's friend Karen asks pointed questions about that man spending time with your grandsons. The whispers are starting. The judgment's forming. Martha adds it to her worry list, filed between Derek's silence and Frank's next neurologist appointment. Evidence accumulating on both sides of the ledger. Trust earned and suspicion brewing. The scales haven't tipped yet, but they're beginning to move. The certified letter arrives on a Wednesday that smells like winter coming. Martha signs for it with hands that already know this is bad news. The cream-colored envelope, the law firm's embossed return address, the weight of threat wrapped in formality. She waits until the boys leave for school before opening it. Derek Holloway, by and through his attorney Richard Moss, respectfully requests a parenting plan discussion regarding the minor children Tyler James Holloway and Mason Derek Holloway. The words blur. Respectfully. As if respect had anything to do with a man who abandoned his sons 2 years ago, who moved to Arizona with a new wife, who didn't attend Diane's funeral because he couldn't handle it. The letter mentions their advanced age and health concerns, questions their financial stability to provide adequate care, suggests the boys would benefit from a stable 2-parent household with appropriate resources. Frank reads over her shoulder. The tremor in his hands intensifies. Stress making the Parkinson's worse, making Derek's point for him. He knows about the jackpot, Martha says. How? Casino winnings are public record. Or maybe Linda posted something on social media. She folds the letter carefully, creasing it sharp enough to cut. He wants the money. Martha tries Derek's number. A woman answers. Young voice. Carefully pleasant. Derek's handling family matters through proper legal channels now. We think it's best for everyone. We, the new wife, the pregnant new wife, according to Linda, who heard it through someone who knows Derek's cousin. They're renovating a house, need money, have suddenly remembered they have sons. Thursday. Martha can't face the casino. Gerald arrives for pickup, sees her red eyes, asks what's wrong. She tells him everything. The letter, Derek's abandonment, the 2 years of silence now weaponized into concern. Gerald's lawyer face appears, professional and cold. Has he paid child support? Never. Diane couldn't afford to chase him for it. Did she have a will? Yes. Guardianship to us. His jaw tightens. This is a money grab. He's heard about the jackpot. You're right. Casino records are public. Mrs. Delaney, you need to prepare. He'll fight this. Friday morning, a social worker calls to schedule a home visit. Standard procedure in custody disputes, she says, her voice professionally neutral. The system has been activated. The machinery of judgment grinding into motion. Patricia Odom arrives Monday at 10 a.m. sharp, clipboard in hand and 28 years of child welfare experience in her careful eyes. She's professional, thorough, and impossible to read. Walks through the cramped ranch house, noting everything. The boys' bedroom with 2 twin beds squeezed into Diane's old room. The dishes Martha washed twice this morning. The pill organizer on the kitchen counter marking Frank's medication schedule. Tell me about Mr. Delaney's Parkinson's disease. Martha explains. Diagnosed 3 years ago, managed with medication. Tremors but no cognitive decline. The neurologist says his prognosis is stable. Patricia writes. Doesn't comment. She interviews the boys separately. Tyler emerges angry, defensive. I told her we're not going to Arizona. I told her Dad didn't even come to Mom's funeral. Mason comes out crying. Martha holds him while Patricia makes notes, expression unchanged. Who is the adult male spending unsupervised time with the minors? Patricia's pen hovers over paper. Gerald Voss, Martha explains. Estate attorney, widower, helps with homework twice weekly. Always in public places. How long have you known him? 2 months. More notes. Patricia asks for Gerald's contact information. Martha provides it reluctantly, feeling like she's feeding ammunition to an enemy she can't identify. Tuesday. Gerald calls before pickup time. Patricia Odom contacted me. I gave her my credentials, state bar number, permission to interview me. His voice carries something Martha can't quite name, concern or guilt or both. Martha, I told her the truth, that you're doing everything right. But I'm worried. My presence might be complicating this. Panic rises, sharp and immediate. Please don't stop coming. The boys need you. I won't abandon them. He pauses. But we need to be careful now. Everything's evidence. Gerald picks up the boys as usual, but stays only at the library, documents everything, returns them at 5:28. 2 minutes early. Careful. That night, Martha can't sleep. Through the wall, Mason's nightmare comes at midnight. Frank tries to go to him, but his hands shake too badly to turn the doorknob smoothly. Martha goes instead, holds her grandson while he sobs, and tries not to calculate how this looks to social workers evaluating their capacity. Patricia's report arrives Thursday in another official envelope. Recommends full guardianship hearing, concerns regarding physical capacity of elderly guardians, unconventional support system, and financial instability prior to recent windfall. The windfall. So Derek definitely knows. Linda calls that evening, voice tight with guilt. I'm sorry. I think maybe I mentioned something on Facebook about you winning. I never imagined Derek was watching my posts. It's not your fault, Martha says, though part of her wants to blame someone, anyone. Linda tells her what she's learned. Derek's wife is 5 months pregnant. They're renovating a 4-bedroom house in Scottsdale. His new in-laws are wealthy but controlling. They need money for the renovation and the baby and all the performance of stability Derek's life requires now. Thursday's pickup happens under clouds, literal and metaphorical. Gerald is formal, careful, documenting everything in triplicate. Tyler asks him quietly, "Are they going to make us leave Grandma and Grandpa?" Gerald doesn't lie. Some adults are asking questions, but your grandparents are fighting for you. Friday, the formal petition arrives. Derek is seeking full guardianship, citing Frank's degenerative disease, Martha's age, their reliance on unvetted strangers for childcare, and his own stable 2-parent household and superior financial position. The hearing is set for December 18th, 3 weeks away. The weekend is agony. Mason stops eating. Tyler punches another hole in the wall. Deeper this time, rage and terror making him strong. Frank sits in his chair for hours, staring at nothing, tremor running through him like electricity. Sunday evening, the phone rings. Gerald's voice is steady, purposeful. "I've done something. I hope you don't mind. I'd like to meet tomorrow. There's a plan. We're not losing this." Martha closes her eyes, lets herself believe him. Because the alternative, the boys in Arizona with a father who abandoned them, Gerald disappearing back into his grief, this fragile family torn apart, is unthinkable. "Tomorrow," she agrees, 10 o'clock, and begins counting the hours until they fight back. Gerald arrives Monday morning with a leather portfolio that looks like it weighs more than hope should. He sets it on the kitchen table, scratched formica that's witnessed 50 years of family meals, and opens it with the precision of someone who understands that details matter, that evidence is the language courts speak when emotion fails. "I've been documenting," he says simply. Photographs spill out, each one time-stamped, dated, organized. Tyler bent over math homework at the library, concentration replacing the anger that used to define him. Mason's artwork progression, dark scribbles transforming into recognizable figures, colors brightening week by week. Receipts for every hot chocolate, every snack, cataloged like the evidence they've become. Report cards, Gerald continues, producing the documents Martha's been too overwhelmed to properly file. Tyler's grades: D average in September, B average now. Mason's teacher notes behavioral improvement, increased classroom participation. There's more. A letter from the school, counselor praising the stable, loving home environment. Library sign-in logs showing their regular attendance. Notes documenting Tyler's reduced behavioral incidents, Mason's decreasing nightmares. "This is continuity of care," Gerald explains, his lawyer voice emerging. Professional, strategic, commanding. It shows measurable improvement in outcomes. Derek has been absent for 2 years. That matters legally. He produces another document, a financial analysis showing how the jackpot, properly placed in trust, would fund the boys' education through college, with oversight preventing misuse. Martha stares at the portfolio. Months of meticulous documentation she didn't know was happening. Proof of love translated into the court's language. Why? The question barely makes it past her throat. Why are you doing this? Gerald's composure cracks. Just slightly. Just enough. Because Sarah and I tried for 15 years to have children. Fertility treatments, hopes raised and destroyed monthly. Then she got sick, and that dream died with her. His hands flatten against the table. Watching you fight for Tyler and Mason. It's the most important thing I've witnessed since she died. I won't let Derek take them. I won't let another family break when I can help hold it together. Frank, silent until now, reaches across the table. His tremoring hand finds Gerald's steady one. They shake. Two men who understand loss, choosing to build something from its ruins. Wednesday, they meet Rebecca Tunn in her office, lined with family law texts and faded photographs of children she's fought for. She reviews Gerald's documentation with increasing approval, making notes, asking sharp questions. Finally, she looks up. This is excellent work. Thorough, well-organized, exactly what we need. She pauses. But I need to be honest. Judges worry about elderly guardians with health issues. Derek's attorney will hammer your age, Frank's Parkinson's, your financial history. We need more than documentation. We need character witnesses who can testify to your capacity. Martha nods, already making mental lists. Teachers, doctors, Linda. Anyone who's seen them parent these broken boys back toward wholeness. We'll get them, she says, and means it. The next week moves with the terrible velocity of approaching judgment. Rebecca files their response, Gerald's documentation forming its foundation. But Derek's attorney, Richard Moss, reputation preceding him like a threat, immediately counters. His strategy is clear. Weaponize every vulnerability, make reasonable concerns sound disqualifying. Martha becomes a woman possessed. She contacts Tyler's math teacher, who provides a statement about his remarkable academic turnaround and improved classroom behavior. Mason's art teacher writes about his increasingly expressive and hopeful artwork. The school counselor expands her letter, detailing the boy's measurable progress. Mason's therapist submits carefully worded documentation confirming significant improvement in home environment and emotional regulation, without violating confidentiality. Linda writes a declaration that makes Martha cry. I wanted to take Tyler and Mason. My husband lost his job. We have 3 children in a 3-bedroom house. Financially and physically, we couldn't. My parents stepped up when no one else could. They're exhausted, but devoted. The boys are healing because of them. Frank's neurologist provides a letter explaining that Parkinson's is managed, prognosis stable for years, cognitive function unimpaired. Martha's doctor confirms excellent health for her age, blood pressure controlled, no concerning conditions. Gerald does something unexpected. He contacts the Silver Creek casino manager, who remembers Sarah, remembers the Delaney's 8-month Tuesday ritual. The manager provides a character statement. Consistent, caring people who treated everyone, staff and patrons, with respect. I've worked here 16 years. You learn to read people. The Delaneys are genuine. It's unusual evidence. Rebecca includes it anyway. Thursday, 1 week before the hearing, Tyler asks Martha, what happens if we lose? She wants to lie, to promise certainty. Instead, she tells the truth. We fight harder. We appeal. We never stop fighting for you. He nods, accepts this, disappears into his room. An hour later, she finds him writing something. He won't show her, but she sees Diane's name before he covers it. Monday, 2 days before the hearing, Derek's attorney files a new motion. Claims Gerald is romantically involved with Martha. Absurd, offensive, strategic. Questions whether the jackpot money is being squandered. Demands Tyler and Mason testify. Rebecca objects to the boys testifying. The judge allows written statements instead. Small mercy, Rebecca says, but her face is tight. That night, Martha can't eat, can't sleep, can only count the hours until Wednesday, when everything they've built faces judgment from someone who's never met Mason's nightmares, or Tyler's anger, or Frank's quiet strength. Gerald calls at 10 p.m. I'm testifying tomorrow as your character witness. Rebecca thinks it's risky. I'm the irregular support system they're questioning. But I won't hide. The boys deserve someone willing to stand up publicly. Thank you, Martha whispers. Don't thank me yet, he says. Thank me when we win. Rebecca Tan's office smells like coffee and old law books. Monday evening, 6:30, and Martha watches her grandsons sitting across from the attorney who will translate their trauma into words a court might hear. Tyler goes first. Rebecca asks gentle questions, not leading, not coaching, just creating space for truth. The boy's jaw is set, defensive posture softening only when she mentions his mother. Tell me about living with your grandparents, Rebecca says. Tyler's answer comes slowly. Grandpa Frank helps me build things even though his hands shake. He doesn't mad when I mess up. His voice cracks. Grandma Martha makes me do homework. She hugs me when I have nightmares about Mom. Rebecca writes, doesn't interrupt. My dad didn't come to the funeral. Tyler's words gain force. He didn't call after, not once. Now he wants us back because of money. I'm 12. I'm not stupid. Martha grips Frank's hand. Their grandson is fighting for them with every syllable. Mason's turn is different. He's 9, small for his age, eyes red from crying before they even arrived. Rebecca kneels to his level, asks about his drawings. He produces one from his backpack, the stick figure family he made weeks ago, Grandma, Grandpa, Tyler, Mason, and slightly apart, but smiling, Mr. Gerald. Tell me about this picture, Rebecca says. That's our house. Mason points to a crooked rectangle. I'm safe there. I don't want to leave. Rebecca asks about his father. Mason's face goes blank, uncomprehending. I don't know him. That night, Martha can't sleep. Tomorrow, Gerald takes the boys for their regular Tuesday session, possibly their last before the hearing. The weight of Wednesday presses down like humidity before a storm. Tuesday afternoon finds them at Silver Creek Casino, but the routine feels sacred now, fragile. Gerald sets up cards at a table near Machine 14 where Martha and Frank sit, not playing, just present. Tyler and Mason play Go Fish with Gerald, their laughter echoing through the casino floor like defiance. An elderly woman at the next machine watches them, smiles. Your grandkids? Yes, Martha says. Then, surprising herself, all of them. At 5:30, Gerald walks the boys to the parking lot. Martha follows. At his car, Gerald crouches to Tyler's height. Tomorrow's going to be hard. But your grandparents are fighting for you. So am I. Tyler nods, solemn. Mason hugs Gerald's leg. Will you be there? Martha asks. At the hearing? Gerald straightens, meets her eyes. Rebecca called me this morning. I'm testifying as your character witness. The relief nearly buckles her knees. That evening, Frank finds her at the kitchen table, staring at the boys' written statements. Tyler's careful words about safety and belonging. Mason's drawing of home. We're going to win, Frank says. Martha wants to believe him, needs to believe him. Through the wall, no nightmares come. Mason sleeps soundly, perhaps sensing that tomorrow, finally, someone will fight for him. County Family Court smells like floor polish and fear. Martha and Frank arrive at 8:45 Wednesday morning. Rebecca Tunn already waiting with her leather briefcase and 20 years of family law determination. Gerald sits 3 rows back, gray suit pressed, face carefully neutral. Derek Holloway arrives at 8:58 with his pregnant wife and expensive attorney. He's aged well, still handsome, professionally dressed, the picture of stability. Martha hates him with renewed force. Judge Ellen Pritchard, 62 and weary from 3 decades of family court heartbreak, takes the bench at 9 sharp. In the matter of guardianship for Tyler James Holloway and Mason Derek Holloway. Derek's attorney goes first. Richard Moss is polished, strategic, devastating. He presents their case like a mathematical proof. Frank's tremoring hands when signing the payout form. Martha's exhaustion, documented by the social worker. Their fixed income before the jackpot. Gerald Voss's unclear relationship with the family and inappropriate access to minors. Mr. Holloway has rebuilt his life, Moss says smoothly. A stable marriage, a 4-bedroom home, financial security. He's ready to be the father these boys need. Derek testifies, expresses regret about his absence, frames it as grief over the divorce, claims he's been getting his life together to provide properly for his sons. His performance is convincing. Rebecca's cross-examination is surgical. Mr. Holloway, When did you last speak with Tyler and Mason? Derek shifts. It's been several months. 26 months, Rebecca corrects. You attended your ex-wife's funeral? Silence. You learned about the $47,000 jackpot when? Objection. Moss is on his feet. Sustained, but noted, Judge Pritchard says, eyes sharp. Martha testifies about the boys' healing, their improved grades, Mason's decreasing nightmares. Frank's testimony is brief, his tremor pronounced under stress, but his voice steady. I love those boys more than my next breath. Parkinson's took my hands. It didn't take my heart. Then Gerald. Moss tries to discredit him immediately. Mr. Voss, what exactly is your relationship with Mrs. Delaney? Gerald doesn't flinch. Grief brought us together. I lost my wife. They lost their daughter. I saw grandparents drowning and boys suffering. I helped because I could. He presents his documentation, every Tuesday logged, every improvement measured, every receipt saved. His testimony is measured, credible, devastatingly thorough. These children needed consistency, Gerald says. The Delaneys provided it. I just helped hold space. Judge Pritchard takes 15 minutes to deliberate. It feels like 15 years. Judge Pritchard returns, face unreadable. This court finds that Tyler and Mason Holloway's best interests are served by remaining with their maternal grandparents. Martha's sob catches in her throat. Frank's hand finds hers, tremoring but strong. The evidence shows consistent, loving care and measurable improvement in the children's well-being. The judge continues. Derek maintains parental rights, but only supervised visitation, pending 6 months of consistent engagement. The jackpot money goes into a trust, co-managed by Martha and a court-appointed trustee, Gerald Voss, if all parties agree. Mr. Voss, Judge Pritchard says, your involvement is unconventional. But your documentation demonstrates the community support that makes guardianship successful. Formalize it. Background checks, written agreements. Gavel down. In the hallway, Martha collapses into Frank's arms. Tyler and Mason, waiting with Linda, run to them. Derek leaves without speaking, his wife's hand on his back. Gerald hangs back until Martha grabs his sleeve. Thank you. He just nods, eyes bright. The following Tuesday, 3 o'clock, Silver Creek Casino. Machine 14, row K. 4 chairs now instead of 2. Martha and Frank sit together, Gerald beside them with his briefcase. Tyler and Mason are at the food court, homework visible through the archway. They play a few hands of video poker. Lose $20. Don't care. Gerald mentions he's been approved as trustee. Frank jokes, guess you're stuck with us. Gerald smiles, his first real smile in months. Guess I am. Mason runs over. Mr. Gerald, I need help with fractions. Gerald stands, gathers his things, looks at Martha. Same time Thursday? She nods. As he walks away with Mason, Tyler trailing behind, Frank squeezes Martha's hand. Diane sent him. Martha doesn't believe in signs, but she doesn't argue. The machine blinks, waiting. They don't play. They just sit in their lucky chairs together. The new routine, the new family, home. Around them, the casino continues its electronic symphony, bells and sirens, and the endless shuffle of cards. But at Machine 14, row K, 4 chairs hold a family that was chosen, not born. A family built from grief and jackpots and Tuesday afternoons. A family that finally, impossibly, feels complete. The screen flashes. Play again? Martha smiles, presses the button. The reels spin.